Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me. Hope you can see me. If you can, please leave me a message in QA session. I'll share my presentation and we can start. So, welcome to my talk about functional.NET for inevitable success. My name is Roman Provazník. I'm from Czech Republic, from Prague. You can find me on Twitter on these handles on Joker and FSharping. And I'm also known as a speaker, as a big F-sharp evangelist. So you probably, if you ever heard about F-sharp, you already knew me a little bit. I work in Prague in CN Group company as a F-sharp lead developer. And also I'm the founder of Czech F-sharp community called fsharping.com. And I think from this, you already have an idea which way this session will go. So what's this talk about? This talk is about few things. First of all, it's about .NET. It's about functional programming, and it's about the success, about how these things connected together lead to better software, to more satisfied customers, how you can really make these things together to really have a let's say, nice review from your customer. Because 5 years ago, I joined CN Group and I wanted to do not C#, I wanted to go into the functional programming. And after a few years, we started getting really like nice testimonials from our customers that this is a true success story of writing functional.NET. So for me, when we are talking about .NET and functional programming, it's mainly about language called F#, and for us, using the F# is really like epic high five thing. So if you never heard about F#, I'll give you a quick introduction because I assume a lot of devs here are more familiar with the C#, so I'll do a really short, quick introduction what the F# really is and what should you keep in mind about this language. So first of all, F# is multi-paradigm, which is the thing I will get back later, but you can just remember that it has multiple paradigms available. Of course, it's a .NET language, so it means it's a strongly typed language. And these are only three things you need to remember: multi-paradigm, strongly typed, .NET language. First version was introduced in May 2005, and the author, the main brain behind this language, is Don Syme from Microsoft Research from Cambridge. If you never heard about Don Syme and you never heard about F#, you like C#, you like LINQ, you like TPL, you like generics in C#, this is still the man you should really embrace and send your thanks to, because Don Syme was behind the C# feature called generics, where he introduced the generics into C# and where it led, like having LINQ and TPL and the other generic stuff. It's you know by yourself, if you're a C# developer, how cool these things are and how many cool libraries are based on this cool stuff. So Don Syme is the one who stands behind the F#, but should be embraced and really thanks to also by C# community. Current version of F# is 5.0.1, and actually that's it. That was really quick introduction. And but don't be afraid. You will see a lot of F# in this session. Just for your information, there's a Q&A panel. You can send your questions right away. You don't have to wait for the end. If there's something that will come into your mind and you want to ask, just send me the question and I will try to reply immediately. Of course, there's some delay. I was told there's like 20 seconds delay between my talking and you seeing that. So probably my replies could be slightly delayed, but don't hesitate to ask me anything about the stuff I'm going to show you. So right now we know what the F# is. At least if you never heard about it, you have at least really now basic information. That is multi-paradigm, strongly typed .NET language. It's, I would say in my own words, something like C#, but slightly better. And if I'm saying that it's slightly better, I have a more than 5 years experience of making FSharp only projects in CN Group. And here are the things that I believe makes functional.NET, aka FSharp.NET, FSharp projects really successful. So this won't be not so good introduction, and you will also see many FSharp samples, but I'm pretty sure you will like it. So first of all, when I'm thinking about what making good project, and good project I mean long-term running project, where you have a successful stories, when you have happy customers, when you have happy developers, what makes it really good? I think first of all is strong ecosystem. .NET, and especially .NET 5 is the most performant .NET runtime ever. It's really great ecosystem, supported currently on multiple platforms. I think the multi-platform was introduced in .NET Core, but it doesn't really matter now. You can write your software on Windows, Linux, Mac. It's not Windows only anymore. And what's really important, this platform, you can write not only typical web or single page applications, but you can write mobile applications, desktop applications, gaming, IoT stuff, cloud application, you name it. Since I said the FSharp is a .NET language, it means that it has support by various EDS. So if you are from .NET community, you already know Visual Studio or VS Code or JetBrains Rider. What is really cool that FSharp is another .NET language supported in there. So if you are now thinking about why should you jump into the FSharp from the C#, is that you already know the platform. You already spent endless nights debugging the MS build and stuff like that. So since the .NET is a .NET language, FSharp is a .NET language, you can easily take your already hardly gathered information and transfer them into the FSharp. What is really cool that we have an interop with C# code. So, for example, if you know Newtons of JSON and other really cool C# libraries, you can use them in an FSharp. Really, like the interop works in both directions. So all your favorite stuff like ASP.NET, all the frameworks, libraries that are available via NuGet, they are available there. I said that FSharp is a multi-paradigm stuff, and let me slightly explain what the multi-paradigms really means. Because in these days, especially thanks to the front-end stuff where we have React and Elm and also slide of Angular, there are multiple paradigms that are like fighting against each other. We have good old Java / C# / the other OOP stuff like objects and mutable state and stuff like that. And then we have functional programmers who are arguing that this is not the good way how to write your code, and they are like fighting each other. What's really nice about FSharp is that FSharp says, why not use both? Like, we can take the best from both parts, and when you feel you need to step into the object-oriented paradigm, you can. If you feel you need to step into the functional paradigm, you can, and it's up to you to decide which one is the best. So what's important in the FSharp is a multi-paradigm language is that it takes the best from both worlds, really. You can use interfaces, abstract classes, inheritance, all the stuff you already know from C# and from object-oriented writing your code, and use it. Why not? Like, FSharp will not force you to do things any differently, but also you can use the functional stuff like high-order functions, anonymous functions, or lambdas, carrying algebraic data types, and other cool stuff. So that's pretty cool about FSharp, that it doesn't force you to do anything. It's up to you to decide which one is the best. Another thing I really like is the functions as a first-class citizen. And when you work in functional code, functions must be things that can be composed, that can be sent as a parameter to another function, or return from function as another return value. So you can, in a good functional support languages, you can work with functions with the data. So here there are really two samples where you can see that, for example, 3 functions that are validating the present DTO can be in the list, and you can just send them as a list of the functions to function validate. Or here, the second sample where we have add, multiply, subtract, you can really call each of those functions in the list and add them parameters and get back the list of the results. So you see that functions itself are as a parameters, as a data in the list. The biggest difference between the object-oriented thinking and the functional programming thinking is that in the object-oriented world, you have a lot of patterns and principles and a lot of things that you need to learn. In the functional programming, there are for sure as well a lot of patterns and things you need to remember or give name to, but mainly it's about the functions. So whenever something on the object-oriented world has a name, in the functional programming, it's most likely just a function doing something. So keep remember that. So as I said, multiple paradigms mean choose what fits you best, not what you are forced to do or use by your language. This is really, really powerful stuff. One thing which is, and I'm getting into the area where someone feels this is a really great stuff and someone feels this is quite a disadvantage, is FSharp has a different syntax. It has a ML-based syntax based on OCaml. What's pretty cool, has no semicolons, no brackets. The code looks slightly different that you are used to from C# or Java or PHP or other C style-based languages. But good thing is that it's really subtle, and once you get used to read this kind of code, really you will not coming back, really. Just to show you quickly, now you will learn some FSharp right now. I will present you the powerful function called add, which adds 2 numbers and returns, adding 2 numbers. So here you see that there's one keyword, which means a let. There's a number, there's a function name, which is add, and then we have 2 parameters, x and y, and then have a function body, x plus y. That's it. That's all you need to know about FSharp. Now you see this is an FSharp. This is FSharp code that can be runnable and can be used. If you want to change the scope of the function, you will just add an enter and adjust it by a few spaces or tabs based on your appetite. But what you can see here, if I didn't say it specifically, that white space matters. So really, this is different syntax. But I would, if you feel this is strange, I totally get it. I understand it's something different from you are used to. But you do normally somehow format your code anyway. So here only think about it like code formatting was leveraged to the syntax itself, which is by the end of the day pretty cool, because it will force you slightly the language to think about good formatting. What is really good, and I promise this is the only comparison between C# and FSharp, because I used to be C# developer. I'm not trying to get into some heavy fight. But what I really like, and why I skipped from C# to FSharp, is that in here you can see the difference. The less of visual mess, you can focus on really what really matters, on the things that do stuff. In here, two same things, adding two numbers. But if you would write it into the C#, you would have to put in a namespace and class, and then somehow name the parameters and give it a type and write a return and semicolons and brackets and blah blah blah. In the F#, you will just do it as a one-liner. This is really cool because when you get into the more and more code, you will quickly realize that like writing less means the reading less, means that the debugging and refactoring and all the other stuff like changing stuff, it's really cool when you have to work with lower amount of code. So as I said, less writing means less reading. It's also faster refactoring. And what's really important, if you remember from the very start, when I said that the F# is a .NET strongly typed language, but in this example, in the ad, I didn't specify any type. You see that X and Y, there's no type written there. How is it possible and still compiles to the .NET to the .NET code and works? It's because it was boosted by a thing which is called type inference, which means that many times you don't have to even specify the type. The type is inferred by the first usage in your code base. So it means by the end of the day that you write your code in a way like you would write untyped or dynamic code, but it's still strongly typed. So if you do something bad with types, or you try to call same function twice with different types, once with integer, second time with string, you will get a compiler error and it will not be compiled at all. So it's still really safe, but many times type inference just works for you on background and you just write your code. So in here, for example, you see that function that takes like generate list from 1 to 100 and filter only the even ones, and then doubles the values and reverse the list. It's really 4 lines of code. And what's really nice about F# syntax, it has a special, we call it operator, which is this special, which call it pipe operator, which is a smart way how you apply the parameter on left side as a last parameter on the right side. If you are following the what's happening, for example, in JavaScript, also there's some I think RFC for adding pipe operator also into the JavaScript, because this is pretty cool. Because when you write normal code and you want to do something and then pass the result to another part of code and pass the result to another code, you can see here that the exact same function, like having list from 1 to 100 and filtering only those that are even, and then double the values and then reverse the list. If I do it without the pipe operator, like the upper example, then you have to read your code actually the opposite way as you normally read English text or any other European non-Arabic reading of the text from left to right, from top to bottom. So, and this feels unnatural when you really chain things together. But thanks to the pipe operator, you can really read code as a normal English text. So here's the difference between using the pipe operator and not having pipe operator. So it's really, really cool stuff. So remember that F# syntax is slightly different. It's different, but once you get used to it, you start to love it because it's really effective, and effectiveness leads to the success stories, at least in our case. Another thing, what you should consider, or you should think about having F# in your code base for your projects, for your .NET projects, of course, is enhanced safety. First of all, F# has all the types immutable, so it means that cannot be changed. Of course, you are thinking, oh, if I cannot change the things, how would I really do normal program that does something, changing something, that does the mutations? Of course, it's possible, but instead of when you are in the immutable world where once you created something, it cannot be changed, the only way how you can change the stuff actually is to creating new stuff based on the existing stuff and changing things. So here, for example, I have a record which has a name and role. Both are strings, obviously. I call this record called Roman. And if I want to change the name from Roman to John, it's not possible because it's immutable, but I can create a new record, which is John, and I only change the things that I want to change, and you reuse the rest from the already existing record. So for example, here, the John is just like Roman, but with the name equals John. So now you will have two values, one Roman, one John, and both of them are again immutable, so cannot be changed. But it's great that you have like copies of the same record or versions of the same record in a time. So this is pretty cool stuff. It's easy to parallelize because once you cannot change things, you don't need any kind of locks and things like that. You can just run your code in parallel. Thanks to the FSharp syntax, you can see by yourself there's native support for copying the values, for having new values based on old values. And it's also really easy to test because if you don't have to put, breakpoints into the setters and getters and stuff like that, it's really like taking one level of your fear away. It's really cool. You'll just set stuff and forget it. And as I like to say, you can't break what you can't change. So that's it. And now speaking about safety, and FSharp is especially about safety and efficiency, as it has types that are not available in these days into the C#, especially something we call discriminated unions, which are the sum types. It's called sum types. And then we have a product types, which are the records and tuples. You already know tuples from C#. And from the latest version of the C#, you already know the record. So that's cool. Some of those things like leaked from FSharp to C#, which is cool. But what is still really, really great are those things we call discriminated unions, where you can define different cases of the same type, and each of the case can have a different data connected to it. So for example, here I like this really, really much because it's like 6 lines of code, and you can easily model the tennis game, like tennis session. You know that there are points 0, 15, 30, 40. There are 2 players, and the game can be either score when you have tuple of points for player A and player B, or you can have advantage of some player or victory of some player. What is pretty cool is that you cannot create, for example, here the score and passing player, because for the score case, you need to put there tuple of the points. And of course, for advantage, I cannot put there tuple of points because advantage set, in this case, it needs a player. So it's really, really nice stuff for domain-driven design, for domain modeling. When you define some states or results, for example, you can define result, you see it here as a success of some generic type or error message of string. It's what is really, really cool. It's 100% safe during compilation. So you cannot sometimes even test the invalid state because the invalid state cannot be even compiled. So you cannot compile your test. So another level of fears and of the errors are just taken away by using algebraic data types. They are pretty cool. And what is also cool, as you see by yourself, most of you probably see FSharp for the first time, and you can already read it. You already can have a look and see, oh, there's a payment which is either cash of some amount or I pay in credits. Or there's an individual lesson which is either available or reserved for some person with some ID GUID, or which is full of person ID which is paying by some payment, which is either the cash of amount or cash of credit. So you can see you can combine those. This is pretty cool because it's a universal language to communicate with customer. Many times we spoke with customer directly over the Visual Studio or Writer. We just open the code and say, hey, our dear customer, what do you think about this? Does it cover all your cases, or you want to change it a little bit? It's really taking away the need for UML. You don't need it. You can just open your nicely written code, and even customer who is not programmer or developer at all can read it and can discuss with you over the samples. So this is pretty cool stuff. And what is really nice is that once you're using those algebraic data types, especially the unions, you will get a warning from the compiler in the case where you didn't cover all the cases when you're doing pattern matching. So this is another great stuff that if you think you covered all these things that can happen in your code, many times you figure out that you did not, and compiler will let you know that, for example, you didn't care about the available case and do something without it. I'll show you later. It's pretty cool. So this is really nice stuff. And speaking about safety and speaking about FSharp, there's really one nice thing, and I'm pretty sure you will all love it, is that FSharp has no null. It means that all FSharp types are non-nullable, and for not always present, for not always required values, we use, instead of null, we use union type. Again, remember the unions, we are back with the unions, which is called option, where you say, okay, I either have an option of some value or I have none value. And then you use pattern matching instead of defensive programming. When first thing, whenever in C# I got something back in a function or method, first thing I had to do was, oh, if this is null, throw alert, this must not be null, and things like that. Again, this is taken away because thanks to the option types, you do the pattern matching and you handle each case, because those some and none are just the cases of one type. So you handle each case in the way where you want to. So for example, here you see that I have some maybe value of some string. And if there's something, I will take it as a next, I will give it a name, but you can name it wherever you like. And I will use this in the hooray, we have in a text where I will just compose things together. Or if it's none, I'll say, sorry, nothing there. So it's really easy. I think we already know that null is one of the biggest mistakes in history of programming. I think even the author of null already stated that it's considered to be $1 billion mistake, but I'm pretty sure it's now way more expensive. An option type solve this kind of problem because you have less null checks, less code, more type safety. And what is also important is that still you can work with an FSharp in FSharp with option type in the functional programming manner. It means that even if there's some uncertainty, you don't know if the value is in there until you have a look. You can bind things, you can map, you can fold, you can combine things together. Imagine like having a list of the chain of the nulls that can be combined together somehow. So this is pretty cool, and it's thanks to another stuff which is I would say essential part, which is everywhere in FSharp, which is called pattern matching. There's really nice definition where patterns are rules for transforming input data. They are used to compare data with the logical structures, blah, 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 blah. It's terrible. Skip it. Remember that pattern matching is something like switch, but on heavy drugs. So, and you already saw that in my previous slides. So for example, do you remember the game, the one that described the tennis game, the type, that union type? So if you want to create function that takes this type and returns, let's say strings that just show scores to somewhere, to some LCD panel or on a web page, what you would need to do is you would to have a look inside, and looking inside in functional code means do the pattern matching, and you will just apply the pattern on the type, where you can really see like pattern applying on something. So here, for example, I'm matching the game with, and if it's victory of some player, and I call it like P, then I will print the player P has won. If it's advantage of the player, I will print player P has advantage. Or if it's a score of tuple of A and B, but as I said, I can call it like score A, score B, or what, it's up to me. It's just, they are just in the local scope. They are just values you can give name to. So when there's a score A and B, and A is 40 and B is 40, then, because this is a special case in tennis, of course, with both players have 40-40, it's called a deuce. So we will just print on the LCD panel, it's a deuce. And when it's a score of A and B, but it's not deuce because it would be otherwise handled by the upper match case, then you just print the score, and that's it. And as I already said, that this is pretty cool, that it checks the unhandled branches, it has exhausted pattern matching. So if I would forget about, for example, the victory, I would be acknowledged by by compiler that I forget something. Another thing that can be done, you can use the pattern matching also over the records, or over the records having the type of their properties as a union type. So you can really combine those. In here you can see that I have permissions, which is either read or write. Then I have an access, which is either admin or limited of those permissions, which are either read or write. And I have a user normal record, which is some string login and writes of this type of access, as I said, admin or limited. And if I want to display hello user, I'll just do again the pattern matching on the user, and I can again look inside the record. So for example, if the login name equals Jacob, then I say hi Jacob. If it's somebody else with rights equals admin, then I say, oh, you're God, please be generous, God. If there's someone who has some kind of login and I don't care, I will just take out the login as a L. And someone with the limited permissions, I will do the pattern matching on the permissions again, and I can display different values. What I really want to say by this is that pattern matching, it's everywhere, and you can use it also for deeper data structures. You can really look deeper into your data and define the code flow based on that. So this pretty cool stuff. So pattern matching keeps your code clean, improves the visibility of your data flow. I don't know if you're aware of it, but by the definition, your brain is really effective when working with patterns. For example, you see some red mushroom with white dots. You already know that this is probably the poisoned one and you don't want to eat it. We use patterns for many stuff in our life, and using patterns when composing and defining the code and code flow, it's really effective, and it's something you feel like doing natural stuff. It's great. And what's also good, it forces you to think about all the possible cases. So many times it will just you will get an error after compilation that you forgot to handle some case and you need to handle it. So many times you just go back to your customer and ask, oh, we forgot this case. How should we handle that? And this is the best thing that can happen to you, because you want to know this during the development, not during running your code in production. What's also important, and for me specifically, it's fun to write. I need to have a fun in my life. I need to have a fun in writing code, and FSharp is just a fun. So thanks to another second special operator, which is called like pipe composition operator, where you can really glue things together like Lego. Everyone loves Lego. It's amazing, construction set when you can have small parts, you put them together and create bigger parts. That's what the Lego is about, and also what's FSharp is about. It's about composing smaller pieces, smaller functions into the bigger functions, and then those bigger functions can be again composed to the bigger, and then you have your software. So for example, here I have a at 10 function, then I have a at 90, and if I want to have a function that at 100 to some number, I can just create it as give it a name at 100 and make it as a composition of function at 10 and function at 90. It's really effective. It's fun, and for you, instead of head scratching, you will just write small functions and glue them together later, and you see how it shines when you work with FSharp. So it's really cool. What I like, this is from what I'm saying right now, this is from the developer because I'm still kind of developer perspective. But what I really also like about functional programming in general, it's from, let's say, the team leader perspective, is that it attracts skilled developers. And by skilled, I don't mean experience only. I'm not talking about junior or senior, definition. I don't believe it that much, really. I'm talking about people who think differently, who are skilled in a way that they can decompose bigger problem into smaller pieces and then compose them together to some solution. So F# attracts these kind of people who are really, really skilled in this kind of thinking. It's great for newcomers, for juniors. And I also see it as another logical step for people who are C# seniors and who want to move on from writing a lot of code, doing few things, to write in few code to which does a lot of things. And one thing, this is really like print screen from real world. In these days, it's so hard to get people to join your team or your company. Whenever I say on Twitter, like, hey, we are hiring for F#, I will get a lot of responses and people like, hey, can I join you? Can I work on F#? Because in these days, everyone offers C# positions everywhere. It's you as a developer, you can really like look and go to that company. It's really like madness in these days, especially in Prague and Czech Republic. But if you offer the F#, you are offering something different, something new, and many people who didn't have a chance to jump on it can now jump on it, can now join you. And we now having we call it inverted problem, where we have more people waiting in a queue to join our F# team than that we can really hire right now. So if you are from HR, you are looking at this talk right now, I think you're gonna like it. Like, try to do small project in F# and you will see how many people will join you. I'm pretty sure. And what makes the, let's say, the success like finish or full, it's top quality libraries. I think you already know, ASP.NET, stuff like that. It's still, as I said, it's still .NET, it's available there. But F# has also special kind of libraries for something which is called information-rich programming. For example, the type providers, when you can extend F# compiler by components to provide on-demand type information. So if you want to really start programming based on some dynamic data, but you want to work with them in a really more, let's say, type-safe way, the information-rich programming, the type providers are a really great start. And this is the, I would say, F# only stuff. Type providers are not available in the C#. And if I will get some time left, I will probably demo you how this amazing stuff works. I already mentioned the ASP.NET. It's there, ASP.NET Core, or how do you want to call it now in .NET 5? I don't know actually. How is it the latest version of ASP.NET? Just ASP.NET maybe. But what is really cool, there are available libraries for working on the top of the ASP.NET framework. So if you are familiar with the middleware stuff and defining the pipeline and so on, you can still use it, still use the knowledge you get it from C#, but you will use really nice libraries like Giraffe or Saturn. This depends if you want to do more in the functional approach or you would like to do more like MVC-like approach in Saturn. And then you can write traditional REST services or backend generated apps, and it's up to you. I got a quick question here: option on F# versus Haskell. So yeah, so F# versus Haskell. I think easily answered. I like F# more because I don't consider myself to be smart enough to stay in Haskell, Haskell is pretty strict. Like, you need to keep everything pure, no side effects. If once you do the side effect, you have it in the IO monad, and it's really like hard to write good Haskell code. I like on F# that sometimes you can step up from the functional paradigm, you can do the mutation, you can do the side effect, you can call the database, you can do the HTTP call. It's up to you. And then you can come back to the really functional programming world. So you can combine those. I think because F# is not functional programming language, is or like strict functional language. It's functional first, as I said, the multi-paradigm. It leans to like slightly push you towards the functional way, but don't force you. So in a case you need to really step away from functional programming, and sometimes you have to, for example, because of the performance reasons or other stuff, because mutations are sometimes better from the performance perspective. You can do it in F#, and it's really hard to do it in Haskell. So I would suggest like start with F#, and if you feel that you are really hardcore functional programming developer and you want to move more into the functional programming, less into the multi-paradigm, go for Haskell. But I would not suggest to start with Haskell and then going into F#, because at least like my way was starting with F# and only looking at the Haskell, like how would I do it in the strongly functional language. But yeah, so that's it. Thanks, Dominic, for a nice question. And going back to the libraries. Oh, we have 5 minutes to go. Yeah, for the web development, as I said, there is a Giraffe, which is really nice. You can see it. You have a web host builder, Kestrel, configure services, build, run, all the stuff you know from C#. You can use custom operators like fish operator to compose functions together. This is more like functional approach. I said that there's also available Saturn framework, which is more like MVC. Which is inspired by Phoenix library from Elixir, and you can define the function and the web server in a slightly different way, but it still lives and dies on the top of the ASP.NET. So we do not, in F#, we do not reinvent stuff. We only reuse already existing, well-performant, cool stuff. If you ever thought about writing JavaScript in F# or F# compiled to JavaScript, I really suggest to look at the Fable.io, which is F# to JavaScript compiler. This is just amazing stuff where you can really quickly write F#, strongly type with all those nicely stuff, and generate JavaScript based on that. That's really cool stuff. If you know Elmish, model view, update stuff, it's used also heavily in the front-end F# Fable applications, where you can reuse what was already really used heavily in Elm, where you can distinguish between the model, the view function, and the update function, which is about immutable way how you would define a flow in the front-end application in compiled to JavaScript by the end of the day. And I really suggest, if you would like to have a both, like having strong ASP.NET Web Server prepared for you, serving the data for the single page application on the front end, using the Elmish architecture, using the Fable on the background, compiling F# to the JavaScript, and you can also like reuse the same stuff from both parts, like types or validation or things like that. I would definitely suggest to look at the SAFE, which is called SAFE Stack, which is Saturn, Azure, Fable, Elmish. These are ready to take .NET templates where you can share your code between backend and frontend, and it's really cool for development. We use this kind of full stack stuff a lot. For those who like mobile desktop applications, we have Fabulous project, which is based on Xamarin Forms. If you are more into the WebAssembly, you can use Bolero, which is again a library for writing WebAssembly. It's based on Blazor. So if you really jump on that like Blazor WebAssembly train, you can also do it in F#. For me, one thing I really use a lot is a serverless. We do a lot of projects based on Azure Functions, and again, functional stuff in the cloud. What kind of language would you use? I would definitely suggest to use an F# for functional programming in cloud. And there are a lot of cool libraries. One thing I will mention really slightly, that F# has an amazing community. If you are junior or you just started and you want someone to help you, go to the FSharp Foundation Slack, check out the official meetups. We are highly active on GitHub. We do conference talks or special conferences about the functional programming on .NET or FSharp. This is really friendly and welcoming community, and we would be really, really happy to welcome you. So if I'll just do quick summary why FSharp has been a success for 5 years in our company, is that combines strong ecosystem with multiple paradigms, really nice syntax that is easy to work with. We have strong libraries. It attracts really skilled developers or curious developers or really different mindset developers. It's really, really safe. So for us, we have nearly, and I'm saying that for instance, I know it's a bold statement, but we have really nearly 0 bugs on production because it's really, really safe thanks to the pattern matching and immutability and all the other stuff. And as I said, this is really nice community that can help you if you want to start. You can ping me on Twitter and I'll help you to start with FSharp. I'm here for you. So, and by the end of the day, it's fun to write. So why not help people? So yeah, so that was my talk. Thank you very much for watching me. As I said, you can find me on Twitter on these handles. If you are thinking right now, oh, maybe I should give FSharp a try, definitely do it. And you can ping me and I'll help you to go through it. And if you will find some problems, I'll definitely help you. No problem with that. So thank you very much. And I hope I know it was pretty quickly, but whenever I start talking about FSharp, I can't finish. I'm already over time. So sorry for that. I really love it. And I would love to get in touch with you and we can discuss more. And I will see you at some other conference, maybe in future. So stay healthy, stay safe, and write some functional .NET code. Thank you very much. Have a great day.